So welcome to week 7 of Thrive During the Holidays. Yay! We've made it through New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving. We've made it all the way through the holiday season. Yet, what's interesting, when I sat with Spirit and I said, what is our final topic? I'm thinking, break free, willingness, all of these yummy energies. And I hear, hi, you got to get them out of struggle, lack, and suffering. And I'm like, oh, in a week, sure, let's do that. Yet, I'm not sure what the clear will be, because struggling, suffering, and lack will be what's in the way of whatever the yummy is. Yet, what Spirit really wants you to do is take a look at, where are you still struggling? What are you choosing to be a struggle? Now, remember, we've talked about this for sure in APW, and I think here in Thrive, and that is the solution for any obstacle is acceptance. And that is real simplified, yet when you truly, truly accept something, you stop resisting, struggling, seeing it as an obstacle. And there's a freedom in that. And so many people, and I can raise my hand in this, we get caught up in something that isn't the way we want it. Normally our ego self or our personality doesn't want something a certain way, and then we fight against it. And we keep getting more things to fight against. And we all remember the law of attraction, like attracts like. Vibrational, the law of vibration is like vibrations come together. So if you drop down, it drops down. What's really cool, and the reason that this may be what's up this week, is I literally yesterday and today again, because I checked in again to double check before I went live with this in a bigger way, is that there's been a huge shift in humanity that anchored. Now, mind you, humanity shifts all the time. Yet when the collective consciousness yesterday morning, when I accessed it, now the good news in America, a lot of people were off. So there was a lot more peace and relaxation in the collective. Yet there was this click that hooked in of optimism, opportunity, and positivity that I have not seen ever since I've looked at the collective. So that to me is super exciting. We've been going through this huge acceleration of higher vibrations coming in since 2012. I have one client who goes, all you do is say, this is intense energy, Jade. And I'm like, yep, it is. And it keeps getting more intense. And I go, yes, it does. Yet I want you to know that I literally can discern with my feelers, my knowers, and beyond that there has been a real big shift. Now remember, when we move somewhere, everything that doesn't look like that shows up. Everything that doesn't look like it, all of a sudden you notice. The reticular activator notices the differences or the sameness. It's a choice. So when you bought, this really cute shirt, and now all of a sudden you see it everywhere, kind of like you went into Costco, bought a shirt, and everyone's wearing the shirt that shops at Costco. And you weren't in Costco, you were in a boutique, and you're totally confused at how everyone's wearing your shirt because you're looking for your shirt. So one of the ways to get out of suffering is to look for what is supportive and what is positive, and start looking for that. Look for the positive signs, everybody. Because if we're looking for the negative signs, you'll find them. I guarantee you will. It's easy to find pain. it's louder and it's stronger in the material world. Because like I've mentioned before, most unaware people store their pain. And so when they feel it again, it's bigger than stubbing their toe. Say they stubbed their toe, but they have a whole lot of stored pain from being an athlete when they were a child. Now this 40-year-old who stubbed their toe feels like someone took a machete after it, when they really just stubbed their toe. They have stored pain. You as an empath may pick up that level that they have stored. You won't pick up the stubbed toe. This goes for everything. If people in your life are struggling, because some people just choose to struggle, it's okay. Yet if you're choosing struggling yourself, or you're watching others choose struggling and then falling into their struggle, you're amplifying it. Just like 1 and 1 together is 11 in the yummy, 1 and 1 together is 11 times in the yucky. So we have to pay attention. And this is really the big message. It's pay attention to where you're focused, what you're allowing in. And it can be super difficult. I get that. When you live with others who are running their own patterns, right? They're running their own beliefs. They have their own behaviors. They have their own thoughts. And those spill into your life experience. What you have is the capacity of response. Emotional independence is what allows for you to be in you, even when that person over there is doing something different. And it can seem, you can seem aloof. I'll just tell you straight up. People can, in the beginning, when you shift from where you were, joining them in their misery, commiserating misery with them, or you stay in your happy place while they're in their misery, people can think you are aloof or that you don't care. They're going to write their story, right? Let them. You're you. And you're choosing to stay out of the struggle and stay out of the suffering. And the biggest thing that creates suffering for the vast majority of us is lack. Where we see less than or a missing something anywhere in our life. So here's the story. Back in 2009 when I taught Live Awaken the Power Within for a year, I had a sweet student, and she was reading the Vampire Diaries. And so there was the vampire and the werewolf in that, right? Team Edward and Team Jake. Jake was the werewolf and Edward was the vampire. Well, she wanted an Edward. She wanted someone who was paying attention to her, and she wanted her husband to be like Edward. I'm not kidding. She was in her early 30s. She totally was focused on him acting like this character in a book, in this romance she was reading. By the time she got into the 3rd book, she almost blew up her freaking marriage because she didn't have what she wanted. She saw a lack in her husband in a huge way. The good news is there was another 30-something in the group, and she looked her in the eye and said, "You are expecting a fairy tale from a book in your life. You didn't marry the fairy tale character, you married your husband." At this point, they're super happy and have a couple children and work through their difficulties together. She doesn't do the fantasy thing in her head. Oh, this is where Spirit was bringing me. Hi, all of you beautiful authors of screenplays, volumes of books, maybe even libraries. Pay attention to your story writing. Story writing in the negative creates struggle, strife, obstacles, and lack. Right? So she literally was reading a story and expecting to see it in her life. We do this all the time. We don't have to read the story. We write the story. One time, I'm working on stopping story writing. This is probably 2010, and I'm in Vegas. No, it's 2005. Wow. Woo. Because I know who I was with and I know what we were there for. And I'm like, whoa, I was in Vegas for an Arbonne convention. I stopped that in 2005. So it's 2004 or 5. I'm in Vegas and I'm working on cutting out my story writing about others, like making an opinion and a judgment just by what I see and feel. Oop, and I'm an empath and know, right? So we're walking out of a casino to another casino and this couple passes us. Let's say he looks in his late 80s, early 90s, cane, frail looking, black suit, white shirt. She is early 20s, very enhanced on all levels, and is wearing a dress that kind of meets down by the belly button, but the middle of it's wide open, and it's the word short isn't even a statement. It was non-existent pretty much. It kind of came to the bottom of her bum, kind of. And I looked at the friend I'm with and I said, oh, I'm doing my best to stay out of story writing here. And she goes, oh, I have the movie rights and I'm going for an Academy Award as producer. She goes, because I've already written the story, created the whole screenplay, and it's already in, it's in Warner Brothers' hands. So we do this all the time in our life. And the story writing, when we do it in the negative, creates all of this pain. We are going to clear our way to writing positive stories in our life, which is really, everyone, being a conscious co-creator. So what I want you to pay attention to this week is where you're choosing to struggle, where you're choosing to create obstacles, where you're choosing to notice what's bad or lacking, where you're choosing the lower vibration, flat out. The reason you're going to do this is because you're going to use the simple tool of reframe. As a life tool, changing the meaning of something, which is reframing it, is one of the greatest magical tools there is. So here is where you guys can chime in. Tell me something that's going on, and let's see if I can't throw a reframe on it and show you how I literally do this every day in my life. So anybody have something going on in life that they want a different perspective of flipping on. So my daughter and I were doing this in the truck on the way up Mauna Kea on New Year's Eve. There's a couple country songs. The beat's great. The melody's awesome, but the words are sad. And we're listening to one about a guy who didn't get married to the girl because he missed his chance. And because she got engaged to someone else and he got the invitation to their wedding. And he never told her how he felt. So my take on that was speak up and, and show up in your life. And my youngest daughter's take on that was unanswered prayers. Maybe they didn't belong together. So she was hearing the Garth Brooks song, Unanswered Prayers, meaning that things didn't work out for them because that was God's plan. So everything, happens for a reason. And I, Miss Type A, was like, hey, speak your mind. Two completely different perspectives for the same challenge. The challenge of he missed out in the song. So, that's why I'm saying if you guys want to play with reframes, we can do it. If anybody's got one today, I'd love to do it. If not, that's what you can show up at the Q&A with tomorrow. The big thing is, though, paying attention to where you're choosing struggle. or suffering. Because that, if you guys can feel that, it shuts you down. Heart, all of you, I didn't even want to talk about this topic. I'm being real here. Yet, everyone's like, oh, we're in a new year. I'm going to work out. I'm going to lose 100 million pounds. I'm going to never eat sugar again. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Unrealistic. And as empaths, you see, now people have already broken their New Year's resolutions. And some of us are feeling it. We're like, oh. So we want to pay attention to what kind of stories we're writing and what they're creating in our world. All right, anybody want anything reframed? Miss Denise, I see you nodding now that I look at the screen better. All right, girl, go.
Okay, so I know something about my older daughter.
Okay.
That I'm not supposed to. And
okay.
It's emotionally gut-wrenching.
Got it.
To the point where I'm up in the bathroom several times a night, gut-wrenching. And I'm trying to maintain positive energy. Sometimes that doesn't work out with her partner in the picture. So I see her choosing to stay in misery and perpetuate a victim mentality. And it's just really hard to keep my mouth shut. And I don't know if I should. But I try to be, I'm trying to be supportive and positive and help, especially my 10-year-old granddaughter, because she's super empathic. She doesn't know what has been going on, but I'm sure she knows something is. It was really cute. Stephanie's been doing the falcons. Before she turned 10, she drew me a picture of a falcon and it says, "Fly like your dreams." It was just this cute little picture. So she's very, very connected to her feelings. So I'm trying to protect her. I'm trying to support my daughter. And in my head, I've just got, I'm going to kill the bastard, running constantly. So I don't know how to break.
You're eating the poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
Okay. And you see how it isn't working. It's taking your sleep away and it's affecting your health. So in this kind of situation, I literally sit in quiet and just ask God, hey, am I to say anything here? Because we all know, I mean, I've done it. I've picked the person treating me poorly, however that's being done. And I have the message over here too. So however that's being done, however that poor treating is happening. And then over what I know or what anyone brings to me, right? So it's her lesson. So the reframe is, this is her lesson. You can support your granddaughter. You're really not going to protect her because she's an empath and she knows something's off. No one's telling her what's off, but she knows. And is she getting sick to her stomach, and are those things happening to her too? Of course. Even, growing up, when someone was making poor choices, they would be sick, I would be sick. Even if they were the one making the choices. And then the person making the choices affected by the other person's choices was sick too. So I was picking up like double and triple sick sometimes in family situations. And I'm like, and I didn't know how to manage back then. I didn't know how to go, wait, stop. Like my energy, lock it up, man. I've got to stay me. What I'm hearing is a conversation with your daughter alone and just to hear what she has to say. So instead of saying, I know this, ask her, hey, how's everything going? Let's really talk about what's going on here and see what she brings to the table, because she probably knows, Denise. I know you say she doesn't know, She might not, she might have brought up the topic to the other and they denied and she believed the human, but she knows. Yeah. In my upper left heart chamber, it says she does know. Like, sometimes it doesn't look like there's a way out of something. That will work. So the fear of what comes next is sometimes worse than what we're suffering in. But you can just maybe in a tea conversation talk about how you've shifted your own choices. That's what they're showing me. They're showing me, don't tell her there's lemon water in the room. Say, oh, honey, there's been, just recently I figured out if I stop drinking what I'm being given by others and drink what I choose, it helps. And, just like literally from a mentor point of view, almost more than a mom. Almost more than a mom. Because they resist parenting, right? When they're over 20 or 2. One of the other. Depends upon the child. I had one that started really, really young. So yeah, that's the solution I'm hearing. Remembering these are her lessons, and if she learns them now, she won't have to learn them again. That's a reframe. She's learning this now. My granddaughter's learning this now, and that means they won't have to do this more. And this may be your daughter's opportunity out of the victim behavior pattern.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It would. I understand. It took me a long time to get out of codependency. No one called me on it. Yet if like when I talk to my kids, I tell them, hey, this is what I created in my life by these choices and by letting this perpetuate. My youngest daughter who's getting married, she has a husband who says, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. And I'm like, you know what? After 20 years of it doesn't matter to me, I got divorced because it mattered to him. And he created resentments. So I'm telling you right now, before you get married, don't create resentments by saying what matters to you out loud. Voicing who you are. So, yeah. Know that by being an example, and I was doing my best to stay out of teacher in that, but I was like, hey guys, you're not even married yet. Let's talk about these things. Let's bring them to the surface. Because, learn from my mistakes. That's what I did. That's how I did it. And I'm like, you're always at choice. You can keep doing it this way. I tell them I'm not my way. But yeah. Hopefully that helps, hon.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Feel better. And remember when you're sleeping that you need rest and that, okay, magic solution. Physical, emotional, and mental body, this energy goes out into my spiritual body to be transmuted. Because what you're doing, Denise, is you're working on your daughter and your granddaughter.
Okay.
And ask for it to work in your spiritual body so that your physical body stops being affected. There's a few others of you in here who are hearing me. When we're working on the family, beyond our awareness, our spiritual energy bodies can do that. We don't have to do it in our physical, emotional, and mental. Spirit brought that to me probably about 10 years ago, and I was working with people who'd been working with others for 50 years. They were getting affected, and I'm like, how do we stop this? And that was the solution, to stop getting the physical effect. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Annie?
Doug and I worked through a lot over the weekend, and I'm really glad about that. I have, from what you said, I have, she's actually my cousin's granddaughter, who is, I believe, highly empathic and is so depressed that she is, wait a minute, dog just grabbed the cord, that she is partially hospitalized. Mm-hmm. She's 14. And And I know that I have no authority, I guess, to go directly and to heal her.
Right.
I don't want to ask her mom if that would be okay, because
Okay.
it would not. That would be too interfering. So I've been.
So I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Who decided it would be too interfering to ask the mom?
Me.
What aspect of you? So what if you aren't trying to fix anything? What if you're trying to just share information?
I see resistance.
Okay, but that is in your fear of rejection.
I like to think I'm asking my higher self.
Mm-hmm.
I
I don't get that. I get that this is something running in you. You probably wouldn't want someone sticking their nose in your family's business kind of thing. Or maybe your mom wouldn't want someone sticking their nose in your family's business.
Well, I also have some history
Okay, well, of course.
with her that I know, that she's not, not that she's totally unaware or, however, it would not work in with our relationship.
Okay.
The way that we've set it up.
Okay. So you got a 14-year-old who gets hospitalized because partially at least because of what she's choosing to take on. We've got Stephanie in the house, and instead of answering it, because I haven't created that much physical world misalignments, I want her to answer as someone who's been through much of what this second cousin's going through. Steph? I can unmute you, dear.
No, I got it. One of the things I think that she probably has an agreement to carry the family karma because she's the one to change it. Based on that, what I'm finding is a lot of times third dimensional talk does no good for these things.
Right.
It's just, people are going to go, I don't know what you're talking about, or some weird, bizarre thing, or get mad at you, or these kinds of things you have to work in spirit. She will hear you and she will understand if you deal with her soul, her spirit.
Her higher self.
Yeah.
All that.
And higher self, yes, but there's also for me, it's the higher spirit's here and the soul is here and then the person is here. So it's like these three layers, and this is where things get caught dealing with this thing. I'm seeing these different dimensional, I say dimensional only because they are part of a separate and yet together aspect of us. If that makes any sense at all. But it's kind of like how we have the inner circle of our auric field, and then it goes out in the different ones. So that's where all of this gets stuck. And but if she is that, especially Annie, that degree, you can start working with her on an energetic level, and you may be able to just because I do feel these things, I feel like that's the connection you're going to make, and she's going to come to you.
Well, and as you're talking, I'm remembering how I've been handling it so far. And it's when we do the healings,
Mhm.
I include her with the idea that if this is for you, if you want to accept this, here's this healing energy that I'm sending to her.
And that's literally, you know, and higher self is just one construct stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm with you. It's just, so in other words, we send it to their filter,
Right.
from the filter that they have with spirit that says what can and can't come into their experience from another, or what they have to, like if they've got a soul contract, what they have to transmute on their own, but you can send the support. So that's how I see it.
Yes.
And it rains down through the soul, rains down through the physical. And and you are, all of you, I don't say this because it's more the practitioner level of what I'm doing in the background, but you are working on the entire lineage in all directions. So you're working on, you know, your own children, everyone connected to you in your blood lineage, forward and back. You know, there is no space time. So my construct of this it's tough, but when we talk about it here in the physical plane, you know, third dimensional, fourth dimensional reality, whatever you call this, right? We're three-dimensional beings in a fourth dimensional reality is what most people are categorizing it as. But that's different than the mind dimensions that Stephanie and I talk about, or the consciousness dimensions, which is really what we're talking about, the levels of our consciousness. So yeah, just do the remote work in the way that you're doing it, and just hold her as whole. This is what's missing from a lot of the information. Denise, your daughter and your granddaughter are whole. Your relative Annie is whole. WHOLE, as they are. And again, we don't know what agreements this aspect of creator made coming in to help transmute wherever. Like, everyone didn't raise their hand and say, let's mitigate worldwide karma. There are some of us who did, actually lots of us, on the non-physical before we got here. And then, oh yeah, we decided to do it when we were here too. So just know that you're making an effect. Don't expect anything. Just go with the heart knowing is what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it's like not no, but no at a heart.
I catch myself thinking that I will see a sign.
Right.
That it's working with her.
And you will.
And then no, I won't.
Yes,
I'm not
you will,
close
though.
enough.
She's not close enough to get the information. Just look for the energetic sign.
Right. And that's going to be, it's going to show up. If every time, if you say, when it's ready, I will know. And there'll be something and it'll be probably the most mundane thing that will come to you, and you'll go, oh, okay.
Well, perhaps I allow that could happen, but I'm also saying that the need to know is ego driven.
Yeah. Well,
the need to be able to say, oh, I did that. Look what I did.
Yeah, you don't need the bright, shiny white dove flying through the living room to show you that you achieved that spiritual. Yes.
Right. It's because it's hers. It's hers to do with as she wants. And I haven't seen her for, I don't know, 6 years or something like that. And
well, there are adults that are still doing this, that are throwing themselves in the hospitals over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's had a really troubled existence already.
So just be open is what I hear Stephanie trying to get through.
Pretty much, just it's because it's not really about, we don't do anything, but we allow ourselves to be the channel for that particular thing to come through. So, and it's funny because there was just something to note. a friend of mine, the girl who gave me the iPad, she had big drug problems and big family problems and everything. And all I did was pray for her. Now,
Exactly.
I say pray for her. I hold her in the highest wholeness of her being. And then just channel as much light to that particular, you know, I kind of, because I do the visual thing, and that's why I started doing the fractals, because I put the idea of the whole person, however that is for them, in that fractal. And then as they use that, it's the channel through which that energy goes to them. So most of the time, either that or I just use, you know, any kind of little ball thing or whatever, because I like circles. But you know, you can pick any object or anything you want, but see that as their connection to their wholeness, and then give that to them. But you can use that to send that energy to them.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
and as you do that, though, she's the one who called me and said, "Thank you
The woman.
for all that you've done." Now, I hadn't talked to her in 4 years. She showed up out of the blue. She was sober. She was, you know, doing good. She was looking better than I'd ever seen her look before. She came in, plopped down. We talked for hours. She bought my iPad. You know, I mean, it's like, so you will get a sign that what you're doing, you know, and it's not about ego, because I hadn't even, it wasn't a conscious thought. I just know that I hold her in her wholeness.
And that's the magic, everybody, of everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Our whole, even though on the physical plane, they look fractured.
but this is the thing, guys. We came here, we are whole, but we came here in the agreement to embody this physical plane, to have the experiences that we're having, to help further this thing called humanity.
I agree.
So
And humanity anchored some yummy energy this weekend, finally. Anchored
Exactly.
it. Anchored it. It
Yeah.
isn't just floating around and available like a bubble. It actually anchored.
It's
So-
deep. It's
Good.
like
And-
what I saw when it happened was it came in and then it went through my body and then spread out, like, you know how those big, huge trees have those big roots, and then went right into the core of Mother Earth,
Mhm. Oh,
into
yeah.
the crystalline core, and it's hooked in. It's not, you know, before it was like
Loosely tied.
kind of, it was like here and it was like laying on top like this. Now it's like this.
It's a true lock. It
Yeah.
just blew my mind on lots of levels in my field. I was like, wow, that is real. It's actually anchored. So yeah.
And Jade, I heard you say something that was really, really important for me to hear. When you
Okay.
said that we are healing our entire lineage.
Yeah.
It's like, it was sort of a realization, oh, that's what I'm about. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, this kind of intentional energy sharing and yeah, it's
Your soul
Thanks for
group, or
saying.
whatever it is, like whatever, however you construct it, but you're part of humanity that you're deeply connected to and responsible for holding, that gets worked on too. I ask your family to do their own work with their scouts and higher selves and divine selves, and I ask the collective. That's an ask that I make while I'm working with you, as you know, as it sounds like we're working with an individual. We're not. We're working with a wholeness. So yeah. I'm glad that helped, Annie. Yeah. It always felt good to me. I felt like at least I was unimpacting what I'd impacted in my children. And
Yes.
that what they were choosing was then their choices and not what I threw into their basket and said, I'll
Right.
carry along with you. So
Right.
yeah, 1999, when I started working on myself, since then, it has been a progression of feeling free of, my many years of unawareness, we'll call it. And I don't, you can become aware when you're 103 and make it to 104. It's okay. It just is what it is for people. So, we do the best we can in each moment. And that.
The other thing that we're doing is healing our own inner child, healing our own childhood and adolescence.
Yeah, we are. This childhood and past life childhoods, that the reading that I did on Sunday in the morning, that reading blew my mind when conflict came up as the 11th card and all other 10 cards had been so beautiful. And I reached down and I pulled conflict and I'm like, dragons, okay. And then I'm like, where do we have it? And then childhood innocence, inner child conflicts. How are we getting through? And I'm thinking, oh my God, please give me a nice card. And I pull out love. I'm like, oh, okay, everyone. 2018, love yourself, heal the inner child. Conflict goes away. It's like, oh, that's truth, But wow, did that honestly, on one level, I was like, man, don't tank this reading. Because I don't know. I cold read that. I don't know what cards are coming out. Like I pulled out the 12 happiness ones. I went through that deck and pulled those out so I didn't have to. I walk in about 3/4 of a mile. I didn't want to drag 2 decks, but that Goddess Tarot I always bring. So yes, our inner child, we are doing healing on all the time. And I had a dream confirming major, inner child healing for me. I thought my daughter died in this dream, being buried in dirt, and it was actually my inner child representing, and it was being healed, and the death of the old patterning, and yeah, it was very symbolic. It took about 4 days for all the clarity of what was going on in that dream to come through. Yet I got out of the way and didn't decide anything, didn't even do any of my linear ways of dream and chirp, which are non-linear. But, the mind gets involved. So, anybody else have a question or anything they want reframed? Good. All right. Wow. All right. 7:45. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow for any Q&A that you have. Really take a look at where you're choosing suffering, struggling, or obstacles or lack. Notice lack. Man, that one, because lack and doubt play together, this is a year that they have to go. I mean, in humanity, doubt and lack have to go, because both doubt and lack block trust. And from over here, we are to be in divine trust for ourselves and divine trust for all that is, and really be in a oneness with trust in 2018. So, bright blessings, happy new year, which in Hawaii is Hau'ole Matahiki Ho. Ahui ho, until we meet again.